Welcome to third session of Curtain Riser at Natya Darpan 2022. My name is Ashok Chaudhary, President and founder of Indian Heritage and Cultural Association of New Jersey, a non-profit organization established in 2013 to promote local talent in performing arts. Since 2016, we have been organizing multilingual short play festival Natya Darpan to bring the local talent and to bring the communities together. We typically invite 5 to 6 short play theater groups across the country, and they perform in New Jersey in their short plays in various languages such as Marathi, Hindi, English, Gujarati, Bengali, Kannada. We are very happy this year. Our 6th annual Natya Darpan 2022, we are hosting on October 15 in Edison, New Jersey, where we have selected 6 very intense, very interesting short plays in Marathi, Hindi, English. In order to know a little bit more about these plays, in this session, we invite directors of these plays. Today, we are very fortunate to have Dr. Farley Richmond, professor and Director of Study Center for Asian Studies, University of Georgia, who is directing English play, Gruesome Playground Injuries, written by Rajiv Joseph at Natya Darpan. Welcome, Dr. Farley Richmond.
Thank you. Thank you. Nice to be here.
Today, I would like to introduce today's host, Dr. Manoj Shahane. Dr. Shahane, physician by profession, but wears many hats in performing arts. He is an actor, director, playwright, performed many places, including India and USA. So without further ado, welcome Dr. Shahane. Stage is yours.
Thank you so much, Ashokji. I would like to, first of all, thank Mana TV International and their team, Ashokji from Natya Darpan 2022, and I would like to welcome of the Curtain Riser for Natya Darpan 2022. How are you, Dr. Farley?
Fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well.
Good.
So without further ado, I would really like to kind of let our audience know how amazing body of work that you have done for Indian diaspora in the United States over the last decades. So for people who do not know Dr. Farley, I am not going to be able to tell you all about Dr. Farley in this quick, small session because there are too many accomplishments to talk about. So what we're going to do today is we're going to kind of briefly approach a few of them, and I'm going to kind of make it very interesting for the audience who don't know Dr. Farley. Is first and foremost, Dr. Farley, if you can tell our audience, where did your love for the Asian art start? Was it when you were younger? Was it when you were already in college? Or can you please tell us about that briefly?
Yeah. Well, I actually was a PhD candidate at Michigan State University in the 1960s. And so at that time, my major professor was James R. Brandon. Dr. Brandon was a specialist in Japanese theater and Southeast Asian theater. And he had written 2 books on the subject. And so I was intrigued with the whole idea. I had never been abroad. I had no idea that I would focus on, and I chose to focus on the English language theater in India. That was my first topic. And so it so happened I was very lucky to get a Fulbright grant and to take a ship leaving New York Harbor to go to Bombay.
Wow.
And so I went across the Atlantic and across the Mediterranean and the Red Sea, and ultimately came to Bombay, which is now, of course, a different name than what it was in those days. And actually, the first performance that I saw happened to be a sitar performance. and I was rushed from the theater, rushed from the boat side, and got off and went immediately to see a performance of music in India, which I'd always found fascinating. So the whole 9 months I was there in India, and I traveled widely around India. I met some of the important figures of the time, and had the chance to be associated with the National School of Drama. And as a student, but mostly as a researcher, I gained knowledge of the kinds of performances that existed both in English language and various Indian languages. So I was traveled all the way around the country to the major cities, collecting data concerning this subject. Then, of course, in the afterwards, the Rockefeller people approached me and said, "We have a grant, and we want you to take the money and go to India and study the classical Indian theater, the Sanskrit theater." And so I did. I ended up going to various places where Sanskrit plays were performed, and talking with a whole lot of people who were involved in the continuation of the study of Sanskrit and Sanskrit language, and especially in the study of theater. So that then propelled me into the next stage, in which I became obsessed with the Kudiyattam of Kerala. And so since that time, in the 1970s, I focused on the Kudiyattam of theater of Kerala, and focused on my work of my teacher, who was at the Kerala Kalamandalam at the time. Mm-hmm. And so I learned gesture language, facial expressions, because those became interesting to me as a theater director. Mm-hmm. And so we were able to, from the research funding, we were able to bring my teacher to, at the time I was teaching on Long Island at Stony Brook. And we brought him there, and we did a full-scale production with our students in Sanskrit, Prakrit, and Malayalam.
Wow!
And so this became a kind of attempt to broadcast the idea of the theater of that area of the world, and still, of course, discovering that it was the oldest surviving theater in civilization. So, and along with the No Theater of Japan, has that distinction of being extremely old and preserved from those early days to the present day. Oh, so my interest has been very much sort of zeroed in like a camera, focusing in on a subject, eventually focusing in on Kudiyattam.
Wow. No, that's great, because, I have met you many times, but it's good to hear the real story behind the story. I've seen many of your plays over the last, I would say, 6 years, that I have seen Natya Darpan and many other festivals in New Jersey and New York area. What strikes me most about you is the simplicity. Mm-hmm. You are an amazing director, and you are very down to earth in person. And I definitely want audience to know that, because you have this air about yourself that is so nice and pleasant, that you always work with your actors. I have one at home who has worked with you. And I've seen her, I've talked to her. And the last Natya Darpan, we saw a miracle. We did see your play, The Priest and Prostitute, which was outstanding.
Oh, thank you.
People fell on the floor laughing. And at the same time, it was simplistic. So my question to you is, how do you manage to keep that simplicity and still have that essence of the play come out so well?
Oh, well, this is quite a question. Thank you for that question.
You're most welcome.
I tend to see every play as a challenge. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure you, as a director, you understand what that means. Essentially, how to make the play come alive for the audience. And so at times I felt frustrated because I didn't accomplish what I intended to do. And on the other hand, I always learn something from every play I direct. And that I meant to say earlier on, that was principally my focus as a student, and a BFA, MFA in directing at the University of Oklahoma, and a PhD focusing on directing at Michigan State. Wow. So directing actually was my love was for theater initially. And then I began to fall in love with Indian theater and the art forms in India. And so I think that that what one, as you know, you work with is to bring forth the energies of the actor to address the character that they happen to be portraying. And Thornton Wilder, the American director, American playwright, famous American playwright from our town, talked about the importance of the actor to his success as a dramatist. And without the actor, there's no theater, there's no drama. Right. We can, as directors, we can go on talking about directing forever, but until we've got the actors supporting the notion of the play, we don't have anything. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I try very hard to pull forward the energies of the actors and to put them into to conceive of a play with a certain direction. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. The Priest and the Prostitute was a favorite of mine. And I've worked with this for years, going clear back to Michigan State days. When C.C. Mehta from University of Baroda came to work with us at Michigan State. And C.C. was a playwright and he did a lot of stories about Indian life and culture because his father was in the railroads business. And his father traveled all over India, and C.C. traveled all over India. And he became very obsessed with letting more people learn something about India. But he was also very close to the actors when he was working as a writer and a journalist. I don't know whether you know CC, but he was very much embodied in the work of the Bhavai Theater in Gujarat, and in which he set me up to see all sorts of Bhavai performances in the villages. And I was struck by the enormity and interest of Bhavai as an art form. It's virtually dead in Gujarat, as far as I can understand.
You know, I was very happy to see one of those performances that was done in India, in Mumbai, a few years ago. But again, that was a simplistic design again.
Very simple, yeah.
So that was great. So I think what I would like to ask you is, you know, you give so much thought to these plays, and I've seen you over a period of time. So I really want you to kind of address this for the younger directors like myself and a lot of other directors in these areas who tend to kind of find something quickly and tend to direct it quickly and kind of because, you know, everybody wants to do that. But looking at you over a period of time, I've seen that you kind of sever the process over a period of time. And then when you're ready, then you bring forth a production or something that you've been thinking about. So if you can kind of briefly kind of tell the directors in the audience, how should one, you know, kind of go about it so that they kind of learn from you and your experience, what should be people looking at?
Well, use your imagination. That's what I would tell a director. To continue to use your imagination to bring forth the goods which the playwrights have given us. I mean, we're very fortunate to have, over the centuries, we've had all sorts of playwrights. I didn't really dare to do any contemporary Indian productions translated into English for a while. Mm-hmm. So it mostly started because I studied with Ibram Akazi at the National School of Drama. And I met many of the playwrights, Girish Karnad especially, and Vijay Tendulkar, both of whom had an influence over me, and I saw their work as something I would like to tackle. But it took time to actually bring that forth. So actually, I would say to a young director, to continue to direct. The whole idea, you, like an actor, if you don't continue to act, you can't learn the craft and skill of acting.
Right.
And the same thing holds true with directing. And I'm sure you understand that. That's the whole principle, is that you feel like that the play has something to say and I can help bring it forth.
Right. That basically brings me to the topic at hand. And I've seen your plays over many, many years, as I said before. So this time, and without going into details about the play, because I love this script, obviously, it's Rajiv's script. I'm very excited to see how you have tackled this very delicate subject. So without giving anything out to the audience, can you kind of briefly tell us, and I'm asking the same question to all the directors, is what would you like to say to Natya Darpan 2022 audience? Why should they come and see this play of yours?
Well, Rajiv's play is really very gripping, I think. And I actually looked at it earlier on without knowing how popular it was in the schools. Apparently, it's been done widely in the public schools throughout the country. And so I was amazed at that. And for a long time, I've wanted to do one of his plays. I wasn't particularly concerned about which one it was, but the story about the playground suddenly struck me as being something that was relevant to today's youth, which is how do they survive in a world in which they're constantly being pressed to go away from each other and not towards each other. And so this particular play attracted my attention. And I looked up one day when I was looking at one of my classes, and I saw two of the students sitting there, and I said, these people have to play these roles.
Okay.
And so I had an audition within the class, and I had a good series of students who were really very competent to do the show. But I saw them, these particular two that I chose, because I thought that they struck the right tone for the play. And I think that the audience hopefully will find that that they give forth their understanding, and they've gone far beyond what I expected them to do. I mean, they're very young; they're only sophomores in college,
right?
So they don't have a history. They have a history of working in theater in the high schools, but they don't have a history of working in theater in the way that we're thinking about it.
Oh, that sounds really, really good.
Yeah. So I would say that look at the way these two performers bring forth the understanding about Rajiv Joseph's play, because I think they do it a good deal of service.
Oh, that's phenomenal, Dr. Farley. I think I've got goosebumps. I'm very excited just thinking about the play with these two sophomores coming and performing on stage. I think the Natya Darpan audience is they're lucky, and they'll be very, very happy to have your production for Natya Darpan 2022. So I would really like to thank you for coming, spending time with us. I would like to thank Mana TV International, and then I'll hand it over to Ashokji again to give us the closing remarks.
Thank you so much, Manoj, and thank you, Dr. Farley. I'm so excited after hearing all those things about the play. I'm so excited, and I'm sure, as Manoj said, our audience is lucky to have this particular play in our festival. Looking forward to this festival. Thank you so very much, Dr. Farley, for your time. See you at Natya Darpan 2022.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Farley, and thank you, Dr. Manoj Shahane, for such a wonderful interview. My audience is thrilled to see. We are very, very excited to see this play in Natya Darpan 2022 on October 15, 2022. I'm really, really thrilled. I hope you like this. I would like to invite you all for Natya Darpan 2022 on October 15, 2022. See you next week for our next episode of Curtain Riser at Natya Darpan 2022. This episode of Curtain Riser at Natya Darpan 2022. My name is Ashok Chaudhary. I am a president and founder of Indian Heritage and Cultural Association of New Jersey, a non-profit organization established in 2013 to promote local talent in performing art and to bring the communities together. Since 2016, we have been organizing Natya Darpan, a multilingual short play festival in New Jersey. The literally meaning of Natya Darpan is the mirror to the society through performing arts. Since 2016, we have been organizing this short play festival where almost 45 to 50 short plays in Marathi, Hindi, English, Gujarati, Bengali, Kannada has been performed here in New Jersey. Over 465 theater artists perform here. The success of Natya Darpan is such that last 4 out of 5 shows has been sold out. And again, the reason why it became more successful in New Jersey is because of the selection of the plays, our selection committee. The second reason is our actors and directors who perform such a fantastic job. And the third is our very talented audience of New Jersey and surrounding. We are happy to inform you that this year also, our 6th Natya Darpan 2022, will be scheduled on October 15th at Edison, New Jersey, where we have selected 6 short plays, 2 in Marathi, 2 in Hindi, and 2 in English. These short plays are very special and sometimes complex. I also want to let you know that 5 out of 6 short plays will be premiered this time, first time here in New Jersey. So in order to know a little bit more about these plays, we are inviting the directors of this play. And we are fortunate today to have Ashutosh Hadap, a director of Marathi short play, Alpaviram, written by Ifran Mujawar. Welcome, Ashutosh. But before that, I would like to also invite today's host, Dr. Manoj Shahane. Dr. Shahane, physician by profession, but theater person by heart. He is an actor, director, playwright, and many more. He is one of the best choice for hosting these type of episodes. Welcome, Manoj. Welcome, Ashutosh.
I would like to welcome Ashutosh Hadap, who is a director for the play Alpaviram. So Ashutosh, and for the viewers, me and Ashutosh go way back when. We know each other for a very long time. We have worked together as co-actors, co-directors, as director and actor, and so on and so forth. So this is a very interesting episode for me and a personal one. So welcome, Ashutosh, to the Curtain Raiser 2022 for Natya Darpan.
Thanks, Manoj. Good to be here.
So I was privileged to see the rehearsal for this play too. So it's very, very nicely done, Ashutosh. So let's start for the audience perspective at the beginning. First and foremost question I have for you is, how did you find this play?
Sure. So first of all, thank you for the opportunity to be here. I appreciate it, Ashok and Manoj. Natya Darpan over the years has established a reputation for encouraging thought-provoking and intense plays, right? I think they're always looking for something a little out of the ordinary. And so when I decided to put in an entry for Natya Darpan, I was looking for a script that I felt would be appropriate for this forum. So I actually looked at a whole bunch of scripts and then came across this script by Irfan Mujawar. And I just felt that it really sort of fit the whole Natya Darpan milieu. It is thought-provoking, it is intense, and maybe we can talk a little bit more about the script a little bit later. But I just thought it would be a perfect fit for Natya Darpan. So once I read this script, I was pretty sure that's the script I wanted to go forward with.
I couldn't agree with you more. This is very well-written script that will appeal to the audiences because it has got a different kind of genre that depicts different kind of relationships. And it's universal. It's not really depicting one part of the world versus the other. It's pretty much universal and accepted pretty much in all different kind of cultures and different milieus, like you said. So let me ask you a quick question. For people who don't know you, and I have known you for a while, you have a very rich heritage from Nasik, India. And every time I hear from you, all the stories of your childhood that, you have brushed shoulders with a lot of dignitaries of their times, writers, and so on and so forth. Can you please tell me something about that so that, audiences can know where you came from?
Sure. So as you mentioned, I grew up in Nasik, and both my parents were very active in theater. My mother was a professor of English. My father was a very well-read, articulate person who wrote very well. And due to a number of circumstances, they had associations with a lot of sort of very well-known writers and actors in Maharashtra, especially, right? So, since I'm from Nasik, Kusumagraj is obviously, a beloved person in Nasik, and my parents knew him very well. He would come to our house. Pula Deshpande would stop by. All of these. Ranjit Desai was a very close friend of my father's, and so forth. And so I sort of, Vasant Kanetkar would be at our house quite regularly. So I sort of grew up in this environment where, I sort of picked these things up by osmosis. So I remember sort of lying on a bed as a 6-year-old while my parents are chatting with Vasant Kanetkar. And somehow, somewhere, that sort of rubs off on you, right? You don't realize that's what's happening, but it sort of does rub off on you. So I would really, I think, credit my parents for my love for theater and the passion that I have for it.
No, just hearing all those names gives me goosebumps, because just to be in the same room, in the same vicinity of these dignitaries and all these celebrities from their time, and they were really true celebrities, not the ones of this generation. They have created a huge impact on Indian Marathi literature, and it's great to hear that. So having acted for last 15 years that I know you, because I've been with you for that many years, how did you kind of bridge that gap finally? What made you decide that now, instead of getting awards for all these plays that you've gotten awards for depicting young man and old man and so on and so forth that everybody knows about from your bio, why would you not be in front of the stage and get more accolades for being a great actor? Why did you want to make that, great step across the board and jump on the backstage and start going into this direction? Is there something that kind of clicked, or you said, I have to get into this because I have a different vision?
Yeah, so that's a very interesting question, Manoj, right? This is something, and this is something I've been thinking about for a while. And I've always felt that I might be able to offer a different, a unique point of view, because you know me well, and I've always believed that understatement is really what it's all about, right? And so I felt that my sort of how I approach acting is something I might be able to bring to directing and see how that works. And so I've been looking for something to direct for the last couple of years. Being a core member of theatrics like you are, we have some very good directors in our mix. You're one, and Makarand the other one, and obviously Ashok Vanzari was a great presence for us. But I felt that this is something I've always wanted to give a shot to, see how it feels like to be on the other side of the camera, if you will. And I felt that given my experience as an actor, I might be able to draw upon that and then sort of bring that to my directing and hopefully work with talented actors such as Ani and Sanket here to bring a story to life sort of in a different way than what I've been used to doing for the last 15 years.
Yeah, no, I think that's great to hear, because I think we need more people like yourself, Dr. Farley, and a lot of other folks who are trying to bridge that gap and come up with a different kind of generation of plays, different genres, different ways of presenting them. So I really applaud you for coming to the forefront and showcasing this talent this time. So
Thanks.
Before we get the actors on board, a quick question for you without giving so much to the audiences, because I really want audiences to come and see the play and not give them any snapshot of it or synopsis. What would you tell the Natya Darpan 2022 audiences? Why should they come and watch Alpaviram?
Yeah, so like you said a little while ago, Manoj, this really is a universal story, right? It is a very relatable story. I think every single one of us can relate to this story because it's sort of universal in nature. This is something all of us have to confront at one point or other in our lives. So I think I'll leave it at that. But having said that, it's also a very personal story. It's a very, very personal story for the two protagonists in the play. And I just kind of like that juxtaposition of the universality of it, as well as how personal it was. And I feel like audiences, after watching this, hopefully if we do our job right, will come away, deeply touched, moved, but also with some food for thought. And I think at the end of the day, that is really what we all aspire to, right? I think that's what Natya Darpan is all about. And I think, again, given the nature of this topic, I hope that people will come away from it sort of having experienced something that touches them.
Yeah, no, I absolutely couldn't agree with you more. And I'm very excited, not to tell people, but I'm going to do lights for you for this play. So I'm even more excited than everybody else. And if I could invite Sanket and Ani to come back on video and audio, I have kind of a few questions for both of them. Hi, Ani, and hi, Sanket. I saw your rehearsal the other day, and I couldn't agree more with Ashutosh that you guys are perfect for those characters. And I can give to people that you are brothers in the play without giving up so much. Tell me, I've seen both of you act in different roles in the past in different plays. Very wide variety of plays. What's your take on this one with a new actor turned director? Is that easy for you, or is that something that is more difficult? Or can you give me few lines for that?
I would probably let my elder brother go first.
No, thank you. First of all, again, thank you very much for the opportunity to be here, and it's an honor. It's a pleasure to be working with Ashutosh and Sanket. The level of detail, the level of scrutiny, the level of the different layers of human emotions that Ashutosh introduced us to, it's a whole different level of learning. And we hope, Sanket and I, to be able to provide our audiences with the immersive journey into that moment that Ashutosh talked about, that all of us can relate to, the various levels that humans can, that we all have inside of us, to be able to do justice to that. That in and of itself has been such an educational, informational, sort of really learning experience working with Ashutosh and Sanket both. So it's been absolutely a fulfilling experience. As they say, the destination, more important than the destination is the journey in and of itself. And these practices itself have been so fulfilling. I can't even begin to express.
Well, that sounds very exciting. What about you, Sanket?
I would probably just start with obviously saying +1 to literally everything that Ani said. I think these practices have been so one is understanding the character, right? And understanding the character, what is the character's place in the play? And I think Ashutosh did an amazingly awesome job at it. Just knowing what is the mental position that each of them is in, why are they doing what they're doing, why are they reacting in a certain way, and all of those, right? And then starting to add layers of, hey, this is the history, this is the baggage that this guy is bringing here before before he comes to all these people in performing here. And I think all of that was very meticulously done. And that's what I really loved about working with Ashutosh, right? Also, I think from a process perspective, I learned a lot just in terms of, again, when we start thinking about putting together a play, right? My experience has been, we start looking at, okay, this is how my blocking is going to look. This is how this is the character's journey or the arc and all those things, right? I think I saw Ashutosh going a little bit further than that. Like, for example, looking at every visual, like from a blocking standpoint, looking at a visual almost like a photograph. Or for instance, if we are, yes, we absolutely get a liberty of adjusting the dialogues to the way we want. But then there are certain things, and I can probably see Ashutosh smiling there, because he's a little bit picky on the lyrical value of the words, which is
Tell me about
very
that.
interesting,
Yes.
which is very interesting, right? And I had not thought about the words in a way that he does, but now that I know it, that's always on my mind now. So yes, absolutely fantastic experience there.
No, thank you so much, Ani and Sanket and Ashutosh. I think you're gonna hit it out of the park. So I would like to wish all of you and the entire team all the best for the show. I'm sure Alpaviram will do great at Natyadarpan 2022. And in closing, I would like to invite Ashok Chaudhary ji again to give us some closing remarks before we end this session.
Thank you, Manoj, and thank you, all of you. I'm so excited now. I have not seen the rehearsal, so now my curiosity has really peaked now. I can't wait to see you guys on October 15th at Natyadarpan 2022. Thank you so very much for coming here today, for your time, and looking forward to see you at Natyadarpan 2022. And for those folks, we will see you again next week for our next episode of Curtain Riser at Natyadarpan 2022.